You're listening to Around Comics, episode 301.
Chicago, this is Around Comics, the comic culture podcast where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics. I'm your host, Christopher Niesman, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Salazar.
Yo, what's up, world? What's up, universe?
You've been like side pedaling around comics episodes.
I have. I've been teasing everyone. I've just been. I assume there's just like hundreds of people out there that download these episodes that I've been putting out.
At least 12 or 13.
Dozens of people waiting to hear
us.
And just pissed off because it's me and not you guys. So I just like fucking with them. No, I don't. Yeah, I did a top of the stack episode Friday.
Top.
I didn't use that. I couldn't find that anywhere. I don't know where that is. I looked for it.
That file somewhere on some like zip drive or something.
It's somewhere.
Yeah, and so we know that everyone is really just wanting to listen to Tom, and Tom is putting one of his children to bed tonight, and so he'll be joining us momentarily. So Mr. Tom Caters will be along. Yeah, how you doing, man? First month, kind of cool. A lot of people very excited about the show back. I was at a curling bond spiel and got some people that were excited about it, which was a little weird. So my buddy Jimmy Feigl. Thank you, sir, for coming up and saying you enjoyed the show. It's weird. I have a lot of curlers that listen to the show.
It is weird when you start thinking about one that people listen to us at all, but that people have been sitting around kind of waiting for 7 years to listen to us.
I don't know if they're waiting for 7 years. I
don't know.
There were a few people that I'm afraid of the people that were waiting for 7 years for us to come back. I think there were some people that were pretty happy. So yeah. It was nice on the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Instagrams to have everyone very excited to have us back. We are also very excited and looking forward to talking comics again. I've been reading and watching stuff. I've got some not comic related stuff I want to talk about tonight, and I know there's stuff that I don't know. Is there stuff that's not top of the stack related that you can still talk about?
Yes, I saved stuff specifically for
you. Didn't blow your wad on your little side around comics project.
Hey, I might be old, but I can still sustain over a weekend.
Okay. You come back strong?
Yeah. Right. I'll be good.
Well, I guess we'll just kind of jump in here, and whenever Mr. Caters is available, we'll bring him in as well. Did you read GoBots?
I did not. No, that's what's his name?
Tom Scioli.
Tom Scioli. I did not read that yet. I have not. I did see it, but I haven't read it.
It's fun. Is it? Tom is one of those creators that when he first started, he was such an obvious curbophile. Is that a word? Can we make that one up? He was so obviously
curb-centric?
He was curb-centric. He was such an obvious devotee of Jack Kirby and all things Kirby. And you read like Godland, which was awesome. I love Godland, but it was so obviously Kirby-esque in everything that he was doing, from the storytelling, from the art. And Tom kind of got that reputation of, it's like, oh, he's a Kirby knockoff. And that was the unkind way of putting it, but he was obviously a Kirby guy. his art style began to change a few years ago, and all the Kirbyisms are still there in a lot of ways, but with his like not even small press, his like self-published stuff, he started to really change his style and kind of become his own guy. This is, going back to, well, I'll have to pull him off the shelf here. Hold on. I'm in the home office. When he did, you remember Final Frontier?
Darwin Cook?
No.
Oh, New Frontier. No, Final Frontier.
Yeah. It's Tom Scioli's Final Frontier.
No.
It's
I have to admit, I'm not necessarily the biggest Tom Scioli reader.
Okay. He started doing a lot of self-published stuff, and the style that he kind of developed is his own now, and so people that think of him as a Kirby knockoff, I think, need to revisit some of that stuff. He definitely has a Bronze Age feel to his art and storytelling, which is perfect because he's kind of found this nostalgia niche where he was doing Transformers, G.I. Joe for IDW. Mm-hmm. And IDW is kind of, that's where he's found a home, and GoBots is his latest one. And GoBots, for people who weren't born in the 70s or grew up in the 80s, probably don't remember GoBots, but GoBots actually predate Transformers. They were transforming robots, and there was a whole, I don't know if there was ever an animated series, but I remember GoBots, the toys. And so Tom has kind of found this niche of the nostalgia ridden early 80s toys and all the stuff that we remember. It's the Mask and GoBots and Transformers and G.I. Joe, and now he's making really awesome, cool comics about them. So GoBots was it definitely felt like the Transformers animated series, but with GoBots. Okay. And just kind of weighs that out, but in that kind of weird, off-kilter, Scioli style. It was absolutely worth the $3.99 for the first issue. I'll get it when it's in trades, but I just love that he does his thing, and a lot of people would look at it and go, "What the fuck is this?" but he's so consistent in what he does, and I love it. He obviously loves what he does, and it comes through in the product.
Well, for whatever people want to call him a Kirby knockoff, or did, and
I think there was at a point there he was that.
Yeah, but it was. So's everybody on some level. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't remember who said it, but it was like there's basically two guys. It's either Alex Toth or Kirby, and everybody came from there, whether you know it or not.
I was thinking about Toth, and you remember. We had talked to Michael Avon Oeming, early around comics, and
one of my this story leads to one of my biggest regrets. But go ahead.
And so he was talking about the correspondence that he had with Alex Toth. Is it Toth or Toth? Is it Toth? Alex Toth? Whatever.
I think it's Toth, but I don't remember.
And Alex,
he told us the correct way to pronounce it.
Yeah, and I think it's Toth, whatever. But Alex Toth got kind of brutal with him, and he's like, son, you need to roll up your Bruce Timm prayer mat and put that, and so I've always kind of giggle at that Oeming was such a, he was a Bruce Timm devotee, right. and it wasn't until he kind of broke out and found his own style that he kind of, became his own artist. And I kind of felt like Scioli has done that in the last few years, where it's kind of, he rolled up his Jack Kirby prayer mat and is off doing his own stuff now.
Well, and at that same time when he told us all those stories, he actually gave me his phone number and address. and told me to contact him. He's like, yeah, write him. Write him. If you have questions about art, write him. He'll get back to you. And I never had the balls to do it. And then he died.
Yeah.
So, a bit of a regret.
Not Michael Avon.
No. Alex. Oming's still around. He's still kicking.
Did you ever pick up those Toth books? The what Artist Illustrated, artists. Right, they're awesome, man.
I have them on my bookshelf. Right,
animated, and what's the
illustrated, animated, defined? I think are the three.
So good.
I think I only have two, because every time I go on Amazon to buy the third one, I can never remember which one I don't have.
When you don't have,
yeah,
they're all awesome. It's you got me on the artist books, just buying art books, and that was that set of three was one that I grabbed and absolutely adore them. That and the Ditko stuff. Who's the Ditko guy? Not Zach Crucy. Who's the Ditko guy that put those books out through? May have been IDW.
Oh, I don't know. I have one of them, but I don't know who did it.
Those are good as well.
I just picked up a really awesome art book. I went to there was a small comic book convention here, DuPage County Fairgrounds, and it was Mighty Con or something. It was a small comic convention.
Mighty Con!
Yeah. So I went with my kid, and a couple of friends, actually, that I grew up with were going. My friend Tony, who is... Tony is the guy that, like... He was always going to be fun to hang out with, but it was probably going to be trouble at the same time. But I've known him since kindergarten. Great guy. But now it's funny because like we're the same age, and he has a son, and we go there, and him and his son now cosplay. They have like these elaborate Star Wars costumes that they cosplay.
Are they 501st?
No, he's not that legit. But
okay.
I mean, they've spent the money. He didn't make the costumes. I don't think I'm kind of calling him out here on that, but but it's funny, like I go to the convention and he's a bigger nerd than this was a guy that was like into metal and into bands and drugs and chicks and and I'm reading comic books and
and now he's
cosplaying and I'm like you're a dork, you're
you went to a level that I wasn't prepared to go to.
He's making me go to C2E2 this year. I don't even want to go. And he's like, dude, you got to go Saturday. We're going to cosplay. He's like, you got to cosplay. I'm like, I'm not cosplaying. I'm not dressing up.
I don't go on Saturday.
No.
It's the 22nd or something?
Yeah. I am going to go on Saturday. But,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll find out. I'll see if I'm around town.
But what I was saying was I bought a book there. I bought a book at the Mighty Con. I found on a table for $10. It was The Art of Howard Schenken.
Oh,
yeah! I was like, $10? I can't pass that up. It's a great book. Yeah, it's
that's
really
cool.
Yeah, I bought that, and then for $5, I got this really cool flip book. It's hold on one second. I'll grab it just so I know what I'm talking about. It's sitting right here.
This is great radio.
It's called, I never saw this before. I'm sure people probably know about this, but I had never seen it. And I just saw it, and it was sitting on a table, and I asked the guy, and he's like, oh, $5. I'm like, sold. It's called Facetasm. It's by Gary Panter and Charles Burns.
Oh,
and,
shit.
Yeah, well, wait, it gets cooler, dude. So, how you would have...
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, it's so cool. Basically, it's a bunch of illustrations by them of different faces that are then broken into 3 sections. So as you flip through the sections, you change the faces. And on one side, it's Gary Painter, and on the other side, it's Charles Burns. And it's the coolest, fun, throwback thing. I don't know what you used to call them, but I remember these, when I was a kid. Remember, they had the superhero ones, where, you would change the legs, change the chest, change the head.
Oh, sure.
And you'd make the different... Well, that's what this is kind of. But it's monsters, basically. And it's those 2 artists. Yeah, I was like, it's the best $5 I ever spent.
That's awesome, man. I want that.
Facetasm. Look at
Facetasm. I still read Black Hole like at least once a year.
Oh yeah, I mean, great book. You can't go wrong with that. It's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, that's one of the high holies for me. That's did they do like an artist version of that where it was big, oversized?
I don't know. They should.
Yeah, they absolutely should. That thing took like 10 years to come out, didn't it?
Yeah, and how he kept the same style for that long.
Yeah, because he's awesome. Because he's a badass.
All right, Tom looks like he's on Skype now, so let's see if we can add him to the call. Let's see if it works. Searching for Tom. Tom Caters, are you there? Calling Tom Caters. Hello. And he's still not answering. What the fuck? What the fuck, Caters?
Son of a bitch.
This guy.
All right.
So oh wait, he joined. Is he there? Tom, you there? Hello. Now his microphone's not working. Tom. Hello.
Are you there, Tom?
Major Tom. He left. This is
such a goddamn diva.
This is too funny.
He's such a diva.
Well, what are you gonna do?
I'm so talented, we would never put up with this shit. Tell me about Doom Patrol.
The show or the comic? Because I'm reading the comic the show is very good. I've enjoyed. The only thing that drives me nuts about the DC universe is they put it out weekly, so you only get an episode a week. So I have to wait a week.
You can't. No.
And they did that with Titans, and it's annoying. I just want to watch the whole goddamn thing. I don't want to wait every week to watch it because I can't remember what happened last week, even though they do a nice recap every week. But it's like, just give me the whole thing. What you're not? There's no commercials. What difference does it make? I mean, I guess they want you to keep your subscription, so.
Oh yeah.
At least they're going to get you for a couple of months.
It's a streaming service, but yeah, that's they want you. They want you coming back. They don't want you to join for a month and binge everything and then drop it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Oh, there's Tom.
Oh, I see Tom. Hi, Tom.
We don't hear you, Tom. We see you.
This is some great fucking radio right here. Thanks, Tom.
Exasperated. We're gonna just have to describe.
There you go. Plug the fucking microphone in. Start there.
Hello?
This is what children do to you.
No. Anything?
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Tom.
That's better. We can almost gotcha.
God, look how old and haggard he looks now.
A couple
years
of kids.
With nothing kind to him.
I got too much stuff going on.
Yeah, you're going to have to hold that in front of you, I think. I don't know. The microphone's not picking up very well.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
There's different settings on the back of that mic. I don't know if that changes anything. No?
All right. You can just turn the mic off, Tom.
We're recording live, by the way. We've already been doing the show for 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Just so you're aware. Yeah, I figured you didn't care. All right, say something. Can we hear you?
Hey, bud.
Hi. How are you?
That's
wonderful. So we talked a little Tom Scioli in GoBots.
Okay.
Did he just leave? Okay. No. There he is. Okay.
Let's turn off the.
I want to see you. I want you to turn the camera back on.
Yeah. There's no.
I find it comforting. So we talked some GoBots. We were just getting into some Doom Patrol. Since you joined us a little late, you want to jump in and tell us what you've been reading?
Let's see. I finished Miracle Man.
Oh, I was. Were we talking? Was this off mic, Sal?
What?
We were talking Miracle Man.
We were.
Yeah, we were talking Miracle Man. I don't think we were recording. How did you like it, Tom? I'm very interested.
We weren't talking Miracle Man.
I was talking Miracle Man with you.
When?
God.
Who are you talking to?
Today?
What's going on?
Yes, we were talking about Tom King and Miracle Man.
Oh, you're talking about...
Oh, Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle. Miracle Man is the Alan Moore...
Oh, sorry. I got my miracles mixed up.
No
sorry,
wonder.
Mr. Miracle. Sorry.
We were not talking about Miracle Man.
Okay. Wow. Sorry.
Miracle.
Okay. Wait, are you talking Mr. Miracle or Miracle Man?
I'm talking Mr. Miracle.
Mr. Miracle.
This is a fucking train wreck. That's all I'm going to say.
Tom, how did you like Mr. Miracle?
I loved it.
Okay.
Not at first, but by the end I did.
So, for spoilers, I've just gotten to where the kid got born.
Yeah. So I won't tell you. Yeah, I mean, I was sort of skeptical a little bit at first, just because I think, as much as I enjoy the fourth world stuff from Kirby, Kirby wasn't always necessarily the greatest at creating characters or writing characters in such a way that felt that they lived in like a real world, right? So like when you read old fourth world comics, I would never say that you believe that that's happened. there's like this is like happening next door to me, like the way people talk and the way the stories are set up and like the pace and rhythm of them is all of their own universe and world and tonality that doesn't necessarily match other things, which is why people love it, right? That
sure.
Some people get turned off, I think, because of that sometimes, because they read it and they're like, why is everyone talking like this? Why is the narration at the beginning of the chapters like this? But on the other hand, sometimes people are actually attracted by those elements, such as me. So in reading Mr. Miracle, at first I was a little bit not turned off by it, but I was kind of like, it's like, make Mr. Miracle like not gritty, but like
no, it's explore his mundane life.
Yeah, which could kind of be like, okay, I get it. I've seen this before in many comics, but by the end, I do feel like they took it in a direction that I wasn't expecting, and they achieved something that I think is probably a little harder than just making, like, I'm gonna make this character feel real. I'm gonna have him commit suicide. That was probably no spoilers. That literally happens on like the first page. So
yeah, it's how it starts.
That's how it starts, right? So like, immediate reaction could be like, oh god, this is how this is gonna go. This is gonna be one of those like one of those grim and gritty books where he's trying to commit suicide. Like, so that was my immediate reaction. But then by the end, I was like, oh, I think they did do something quite rare and did truly.
It's actually funny. It's a funny book.
It is very funny. Yeah, and they do give him. They give Mr. Miracle more of like a personality beyond, I think, what anyone had done previously.
So as I'm and I enjoy it. I'm still getting, I think I'm like 7 issues, quote unquote, in the trade, and I'm enjoying it. There was in the back of my head for several issues, I was like, I feel like I've read this before, and it really reads and feels a lot like Fraction's Hawkeye series.
Yeah, I could see that.
If you want to talk about tonality, it really reads like Fraction's Hawkeye series, and that was really, it's like, this is a superhero, but this is the mundane side of his personal life meeting the extraordinary, bizarre off the rails superhero life. And that's, it's fun to mix those two things. So I've got to get through the rest of the series to see if there's more of a payoff that makes it its own thing. But it felt very Hawkeye to me. Yeah, I mean it's a love story though, right?
Yeah, I mean I think the twist at the end sort of elevates it to like a different level from previously what my perception of it was. And I think it works on a lot of different levels because of also the art, right? Like the art is phenomenal in this
really
book.
Good. Yeah,
yes.
It's really good.
By Mitch. I'm going to say this name for the first time out loud. Gerard?
Gerards.
Gerards? I don't know.
Gerards?
Yeah.
Mitch Gerards?
Gerards?
Yes. Yeah, it's real good. And yeah, it's kind of back to the Hawkeye thing. I love the art just as much as I love was David Aja, right? For Hawkeye?
Initially,
yeah. It's so there was that parallel as well. That
I think
Gerard
that's actually a little more of the parallel is the art than I think the tone of the story to me between those two. I think the Hawkeye is very, I don't know, flippant. I don't know. There's so much sort of like sarcasm in the Hawkeye, where I don't.
That in this, though. I mean, there's a lot of laughing in the face of death in this one, a lot.
Right, but that's just because of the relationship between Scott and Barta. You know what I mean? Like they're parents, and they're they have no choice in what they're doing. So
the whole issue where they're talking about remodeling the condo, which is just a big lead up to her telling him that she's pregnant, was amazing. That was an amazing issue.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, I think part of it too, though, is like they still make it a story about like here's the mundane with the superhero, but at no point are you ever allowed to forget that really Mr. Miracle's a god. Like he is.
Well, his coffee cup tells you.
Yeah, he's not from our world, and like as much as he, like it's interesting, right? In that sense that like the mundane world is the escape from sort of like what could be seen as the existential like dread of godhood, right? Because the way it's set up in this story is just like it's a never-ending constant war between eugenesis and apocalypse without end, with only like occasional respite where there isn't like all-out fighting, but it's a pretty bleak like existence. It's a very sort of existential crisis type thing happening the whole time.
Do you guys see a parallel between that and Tom King's own life? Like he's, he was in the CIA before being a comic book writer and dealing with counterterrorism and that, sort of life and death sort of thing. And then he, comes home and starts a family, has a regular life. I mean, I think I've always felt Tom does that really well. Like he sort of draws inspiration from his own life and he puts it into these characters. I think a lot of writers do, but I think he does that.
It's like, I have to go to work and I have to kill a bunch of people and then come home and make sure that dinner's on by 5:30 before basketball practice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Tom
and I don't know allegedly if that was ever Tom's life, but but that's.
But no, even if he didn't.
Miracle, it's like yes, I have to go lead these troops into battle, and I have to kill all of these tens of thousands of apocalypse demon. I have to go back home to Los Angeles and deal with traffic.
Right. It's gotta. I mean, there's got to be a correlation there between what we're reading in this comic and his, actual existence. I mean, if you just talk to anyone that's been, in whether it's war or whether it's, that kind of high level stuff where when you're dealing with life and death situations, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I think that's a lot of guys have the problem of like, coming back from war and then like trying to live a normal life when you have, experienced something extraordinarily not normal.
Did you watch the Tom Clancy Amazon Prime series, the Jack Ryan?
I did.
And I think there might actually be a tie-in here. The guy who did the drone flights and had to like kill people remotely, was that the same actor that played the guy in Umbrella Academy?
Diego?
Not Diego. The Leonard, the guy who played Leonard.
Oh yeah.
That was the drone operator in Jack Ryan.
You're right.
But that was kind of that whole thing, is that this guy, he goes to work, he clocks in, he kills people, and then he clocks out, gets in his car, and he drives back to his house.
Yeah, deal with that.
Yeah, and so I see that. That's in. Yeah, so that was just something that.
It's interesting. I just read an article about people that work for Facebook, but they don't actually work for Facebook. They work for a company that's hired by Facebook, and they're basically moderators. So they go in and watch videos and look at posts and pictures, and they determine whether or not it's okay to be on Facebook. So their existence is basically they clock in, sit at a cubicle, and watch the most horrible parts of humanity online, and then make judgments on that, and then like go to lunch at Applebee's, and they're getting paid, $14 an hour or whatever, to do this and
to weed out like Nazis.
Yeah, and like decapitations and whatever the worst that you could possibly imagine. That's what they do for 8 to 10 hours a day, and then go home and try and live a normal life. And these people are like drug addicts and sex addicts, and it was an interesting article about that. It's just like, Jesus Christ, like the PTSD you probably are experiencing from that kind of an existence as well.
Nice. Well, mentioning this is my little segue to Umbrella Academy.
How cool.
Have you guys watched it? Mm-hmm.
I'm not finished, but I watched 7 episodes, something like that.
I was going to start tonight.
Watch it. I enjoyed it. It is different enough from the comic that it made me go back and reread the comic, which was a good thing. And they're both different enough from each other, but also I would say both done well enough that you can enjoy them both independently of or as a unit. And it was good to go back and reread that series, because I loved it when it came out. But it really kind of reminded me, because now this comes out and comics have kind of achieved this position over the last 10 years where it's not like a foreign currency for a lot of people. And I remember back that whatever Free Comic Book Day it would have been, I don't know what year, 2008, something like that. And you guys were there. It was at Dark Tower. And I remember these teenage girls that came into the shop, and they're like, we're here for the Umbrella Academy comic. And it's like, really? Why? And they're like, we are huge My Chemical Romance fans. And that's why they were there to buy that comic, was because they were big My Chemical Romance fans. And now to hear people that are watching Umbrella Academy and they have no idea that Gerard Way is the creator of the series, I find that really it's funny, but also I think it's a good thing, because it's not relying on like My Chemical Romance fans to watch this show.
Well, I mean, I can speak personal experience. My daughter, it's funny, the other day we were just talking about stuff we were watching, and she's like, oh, you know what you should watch? on Netflix there's a show called The Umbrella Academy. And she had no idea it was a comic book. She didn't know anything about Gerard Way. She just had watched it with her friend and loved it. And she's like, oh, my dad would really like this show. I'm like, yeah, it's a comic book. I know all about it.
Yeah. It's like, actually, it's a comic book.
It's a comic. It's funny now how, we were talking earlier about, like, how friends of mine and relatives and people, I just run across that are such gigantic comic book nerds now from the TV shows and movies and stuff, not reading comics, but
not the comics.
Not the comics. No, God no. Yeah. They don't read comics. But
have to be crazy to pay that much.
Exactly. But just the knowledge that people have now of these characters is pretty goddamn amazing. Like, it's funny. I'll be at the gym or I'll be wherever, and people just start talking about comics, and I just kind of sit back and smirk a little bit because most people don't really know anything about that I did this or have any relationship to the comic book industry or anything like that, and it's just kind of funny of like how much people that I never would guess are into all these characters, but.
Oh, for sure.
Also, just how much comic book TV shows have embraced, like, being comic book TV shows. There's not as much of, like, that embarrassed, like, halfway in betweenness.
No, they're starting to really lean into it.
Like, just own that instead of, like, kind of embarrassingly. Like, be like, yeah, we're kind of like a costume, but, like, not really. Type thing. It's like, no, like, we will actually have Gorilla Grodd try and assassinate Barack Obama.
They've embraced the weirdness that you can do in comics that you can't do in other places, or that other places it's I guess the risk to reward ratio is not right. You can be fucking ridiculous and take weird chances in comics that you can't do on TV a lot of the time. And we were talking before we started recording, talking about Doom Patrol, kind of versus Umbrella Academy, and my one nitpick on Umbrella Academy, which I really I did enjoy overall, is that I feel like they kind of stopped short of being as fucking weird as they could have been, because it's a weird comic. It's a comic where they're talking chimpanzees walking around and people don't take to takes at it. It's absolutely normal, and the show kind of stops a little short of that, where it sounds like Doom Patrol has kind of embraced the absolute wacko weirdness, and I think that's great.
I would say, yeah, I've watched the three episodes so far of Doom Patrol, and it's fucking out there. I mean, it's very bizarre and funny and weird, and I mean, they lean into the weirdness and the sorrow and the dysfunction of this team. I mean, if you even want to call them a team, they're not happy. They're miserable people. They don't particularly like one another. They just don't even want to be heroes, other than maybe Cliff kind of does, but the rest of them don't even want to leave the house. They're all just kind of depressed and not, interested in trying to help people, but they reluctantly kind of do it. And it's bizarre. I mean, it's the third episode, it was, Nazi puppets. Yeah, just to give you, you know what I mean, like
of course it was.
Yeah, Nazi puppets, like, and they're leaning into it. I mean, I think that show to me so far has been the most comic booky show, from the characters themselves. I mean, they haven't really changed much, other than I would say Rita is the only one that it's a little disappointed how they've changed her in the show compared to the comic, but. They change. I'm waiting for that to sort of pay off. I'm hoping that eventually that kind of pays off. They made her a little, but that's really just like the Silver Age version of her was, I felt, a very capable, probably the most capable of the three of them. Her power set was actually, you know, she did a lot, where the other two were not as capable. And then I feel like in the show she's not that yet. So I'm kind of hoping they improve. But as far as weird and just like the way they look and act, and I mean, to me it's so comic book, true to the comics. I mean, just Cliff's, you know, costume and everything that, you know, he's straight out of
Robot Man.
Yeah, he's right out of the Grant Morrison version. You know what I mean? Like it's identical. Nice. And yeah, I think Doom Patrol is super fun so far.
Yeah. That was with the Umbrella Academy. That was one of the things. I think Space Boy is one of the best character designs of like ever. I mean, what a great character design. And so they kind of did as much as they could do for a live action, but it was just like, oh, I want that character design on TV.
You want to be like just 9 feet tall, a gigantic space gorilla.
Yeah.
Hard to pull off on a day-to-day production.
Pretty much.
But I will say they did a nice job of like making him look like he has the skinny legs.
Yeah.
You know, and the giant torso, like in the comic, that, you know, Gabriel Ba's art kind of is like that in most of his characters. But
they did the best that they could do, and it was one of those things that I did enjoy going back and reading the comic, because it reminded me how amazing those character designs are. They also did and it's a weird kind of afterthought, but the Umbrella Academy comic, you read it now and you realize how not really diverse that comic is, which is a little weird. And they did a really nice job in the TV show of diversifying the cast, which makes absolute sense, because there are all of these births of these children all over the world that take place. Of course, they would be a very diverse, cross section of the planet, and so it actually, in that regard, I think it works better in the series than it did in the comic, and that I. Tip of the cap to the casting in the show, because it really does work, and it makes sense to have a very diverse cast. And I thought it was cast very well.
Well, I think in the comic, I think Gerard Way was going for a certain aesthetic, and of that stuffy, kind of private school, twisted version of that. So I think it worked in the comic for kind of at the time what he was doing. But yeah, you're right. There's certainly no reason not to have a diverse cast, and they cast really well. I think I like all the guy who plays Klaus is fantastic. The kid
Klaus is awesome.
The kid who plays number 5 is perfect. Like, yes. He's unbelievably good.
Such a cool asshole.
He's the second coming of what's his name from Jason. Oh God, what's the kid? He did the Coen movie, or not the Coen. I'll forget it. I can't remember it. It isn't going to come to me. It's him and Bill Murray. The school. They hate one another. I can't think of the name.
Jason Schwartzman.
Yes. Jason Schwartzman. Okay. He's sort of the.
Yeah, he's a younger Jason Schwartzman. Yeah. He's just a little asshole. I was telling you earlier, I really like Ellen Page. Ellen Page was probably my least favorite character in the series. She was just kind of. It's like, okay. I was much more interested in Klaus and number 5, and even Luther. Luther, I thought was a pretty fascinating character, and Diego was. I mean, they actually developed characters to a point that I enjoyed all of the other characters besides Ellen Page and Vanya, more than her. So, which is good, I guess.
Have you read Hotel Oblivion yet?
I have not. Trade waiting. I guess do I trade wait now? It's how many episodes or how many issues are out?
5, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, 5. I may go pick them up. But no, I reread Apocalypse Suite and Dallas, which Dallas is awesome. Dallas is it's a ridiculous story. They touch on, they kind of mash these together in the TV show to kind of make a full season. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting. I'm assuming they're going to do a second season because they left it on a cliffhanger. So
I'm assuming I think it was already picked up they already announced a second.
It's not a Marvel one, so it's not canceled.
We were talking about that earlier. Tom, do you think Disney's going to pick up the Marvel series and move them over to their Disney streaming?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
They'll probably be better, to be honest. I don't know. I kind of felt like the Netflix ones struggled to embrace their comic bookness sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It was always like every season that I tried to watch always felt too long, even though it wasn't that many episodes.
We were saying the same thing.
I was kind of like, this is really taking a long time to even Daredevil kind of fell victim to that a lot. I think that when you don't have the restriction of the 22 or 28 episode season, and you can basically make your storytelling fit what your story is, don't have fucking throwaway episodes. Yeah. It's just very oh my God, what is happening? It's taking so long for something to happen. And
I kept getting lost in, they'd have 2-3 storylines going on at the same time, and it's like, well, wait, what am I even watching anymore? I don't even understand where this is. There's so many threads, loose threads in these stories because they're trying to weave 2 or 3 different storylines along, and it's just like, I really liked the first season of Daredevil. I really liked Luke Cage. I really liked the first season of Jessica Jones. Iron Fist sucked balls.
It was terrible.
Yeah, they never. Yeah,
it's not good.
And I liked both seasons of Punisher. I thought were very good. I thought the Punisher was actually the best of it because it was able to not be a comic book show. It was he kind of lends himself better. That character lends himself better to a show that isn't about a comic book. You know what I mean? He's just a vigilante. Where
I wanted to like the Luke Cage one better than I did. I liked the casting. I liked the tone. I just found when it was all put together, the overall story, I was kind of I didn't find it very compelling.
Mm-hmm.
There's moments that I find compelling. I like the actors, but I'd watch an episode and I'd be like, oh, that was nice. But I never felt like I needed to see the next one, Right. I always felt I was I guess I should watch the next one. There wasn't for a Netflix show, for not a series of Netflix shows to kind of fail at bingeability at times.
Yes.
It's what you're supposed to do, Netflix.
It's what you're supposed to do. It's what you're supposed to do, right? For better or worse, because I think sometimes bingeability also wrecks shows, because it creates you have to have a cliffhanger no matter what, even if it doesn't make sense. Even if you're just throwing everything out the window, it's you got to keep churning through the story. So there's a balance between those two things, right? Where it's yes, it needs to be bingeable, but also yes, you should be able to think about it for more than a half an hour and not be this is stupid. Right. But sometimes bingeable shows are like that, right? Where if you stop the momentum and you start thinking about the story, you're House of Cards being my favorite example of all time, where like as you're watching it and you're just rolling with it,
it's compelling.
It's compelling.
Yeah.
But then when you start thinking about it, you're like, wait a second, like what?
This is ridiculous.
Like once you've fallen out of the spell of the bingeability, all of a sudden, like, and you start mulling it over, you're just kind of like, why would someone do that? Or what, like,
yeah.
That
Tom, what are you doing thinking about TV shows? What's the matter with you? You're not supposed to think. You're just supposed to sit there.
My wife got mad at me because I ruined that show for her back before Kevin Spacey.
Now she should thank you.
Yeah.
She should thank. She didn't waste all her time watching it.
You knew Kevin Spacey was a bad guy.
I knew that show was ridiculous.
Good nose, Tom. Good nose.
I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to keep watching this. But like the Marvel Netflix shows, I always felt like they kind of failed at that bingeability sometimes. Like Daredevil, I had to like really like force myself to finish watching the first season at times. Even if you asked me, was that a good story? I'd be like, yeah, it's a good story. But like, I always felt like they never did a great job of like momentum. Like, I never felt like pulled through to the next one.
Yeah, and there are shows that just have a great gift for the cliffhanger, for the oh shit, I have to come back. Probably Game of Thrones probably does it better than anybody. It's where it's like, oh fuck, I've got to come back next week. I have to find out what happened.
Have you guys watched Altered Carbon on Netflix?
I really liked it. I thought it peaked in the middle.
I really liked it, and I still haven't finished it. Like I have one episode to go, and I haven't watched it, and it's been months, and I keep passing over like, I don't know if I ever really want to finish it or not.
It's worth finishing. I heard that they picked it up for a second season. It's good though. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty interesting. I very Asimov story, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's just I don't know why. I'm not even sure why I haven't gone back and finished it. I think there's some in the future someday, like they will do studies on what Netflix has sort of done to our brains. Yeah.
Well, it does, right? Like, I think having everything available, like when it's like, here's a whole season, like sometimes I feel myself being like, it's hard to get excited.
Right.
It's just like, that's so much, that's like 11 hours.
I can do it anytime too, so there's no rush.
So it's no rush. I'll watch it eventually, and then eventually, it's kind of like comic books, right?
I was gonna say, do you feel the same way whenever you pick up, a trade or heaven forbid, like an omnibus, instead of getting the monthly comics where you're like, oh no, I have this huge chunk of a story that I can read all at once or at my own pace.
I think I almost feel like the opposite way. I almost feel like with comics, when you get a monthly, if for some reason you like skip a month or you just lose track of something, it's so easy to be like, oh, I don't actually care.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you don't care. You're like, I didn't notice that I didn't get it, so maybe I should stop getting it because it's obvious that I didn't care about it.
Back on the Mr. Miracle, there were a couple issues in that trade that I was just like, yeah. If I were reading that in monthlies, I'd be like, I might check out. But in a collected format, it kind of forces you in a little bit. You're vested a little bit more, I guess.
Well, I was saying earlier about Doom Patrol, the TV show. Like, I wish the whole season was available because they don't do that. But at the same time, I do find myself like excited waiting for the next episode to come out because I really like the show.
there's something to be said for leaving the audience wanting more.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a cliche, but I do think there's something to, like, you don't get to have all of it at once. Like, I think leaving people a little bit like, I wish I had another one to watch right now, instead of just giving it all to them. Because I do think in a few years, people will look back at what binge watching has done, and I don't think it's all been great for storytelling. I think at times it's been like straight, like it's like hacking people's brains to, like, get to their most lizard brainish qualities, right?
They've used analytics to just determine exactly, minute by minute, what do we need to put here to get that.
I think it's just another tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
It's just another way to tell stories, and I'm okay with that. And some creators are going to use it really, really well, and they will use everything that's available to them, with a binging streaming service. And then you've got, some creators that'll do a shitty job of it. There's the stuff going on with Steven Spielberg right now, how he's lobbying the Academy for the Oscars to not allow streaming services to have movies nominated. And I'm just like, you know what? Well,
can't include any non-Spielberg movies.
Yeah, it's like, fuck off, old man.
What is his argument, though? I didn't look into it.
But that if you can't watch it in a movie theater, it's not a movie.
Okay.
He is a big proponent of the theatrical experience as opposed to the home viewing experience, and that that it's not a movie unless it's viewed and released in a theatrical setting.
But Netflix's method of, like, renting out theaters, because the way Netflix does it, and I'm sure I'm going to explain this wrong, and someone will, is that Netflix essentially rents out theaters and keeps all the proceeds from the ticket sales for themselves, so they don't have to release like ticket sales. So they show a movie in a theater, but they don't have to say what the box office is.
Oh, do they even do that?
Just the same way. Yeah, like Roma was in theaters.
Oh, I didn't know it was in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
It has no box office numbers because they essentially rent the space.
Yeah.
Sell the tickets, keep the money themselves.
Well, the box office shouldn't matter for awards.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't think with Spielberg it's about the box office, though. I think it's he just comes from a school where it's like we make movies specifically to be seen in theaters. There is I mean, if you look at Spielberg films, that's pretty obvious that he's making them specifically for that particular enjoyment. He's not making them to be viewed at home on your couch on a TV screen. But I don't know how relevant that is any longer. Like, and maybe that's what he's fighting against, is the idea that filmmakers are no longer going to be doing that. But
yeah,
old man yells at cloud.
Well, I mean, maybe there's something to be said to listening to old men once in a while, even if they're old white guys. Even if they're old white guys, maybe once in a while they know what they're talking about.
Things change.
They do.
And it's like, it's whenever he started in film school, people didn't have fucking 65-inch fucking widescreen TVs in their living room. I mean, that's a fucking theatrical experience. But I can hit pause and go pee.
I follow a strictly David Lynchian rule in my house. You can't pause a movie.
Can't pause.
You have to pause it. When we watch Dune in my house, you have to go. We're not pausing it.
Keep big jar.
Watch this whole scene.
Here's your cat.
I mean, it's also just like, that's just where it's gonna go. That's where the money is. Like, I'm sure there's all kinds of dudes and women who would love to direct movies the way Spielberg has, and would love to just get huge chunks of money to do it.
That's a very small fucking club.
That's just like, I think it's probably a better time just for people having access to money to make things. The existence of Netflix, because Netflix spends money like a drunken sailor on content, and so it's pushed everyone else to too.
Well, and on marketing for Oscars too. I mean, that's part of it. You know, it's like they spent something like $50 million pushing Roma, you know, in the Oscar competition. So I don't, you know, fucking Oscars are such a dumb thing anyway. Like they should just get rid of that. Like, you know, I actually watched this year.
Did you?
Yeah, only because my niece and nephew, my niece invited me over, and my kids wanted.
Oh,
to go,
you
so
always
like,
do
whatever.
the thing. You always do the fill out the list and do.
We
like
used to. I haven't in years. I haven't watched it in years because I just don't give a shit. But
you still find out who wins the next day.
Yeah, yeah. I still see who
you had an entire evening.
What rich person won another award? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of a dumb. I think it's so dumb anyway. Like it means anything. Like it's just so stupid to sit there and in this day and age we're still like arguing over what's the best movie of these 7 movies.
Yeah.
When
it's obviously Black Panther.
Well, of course. I mean, I thought Into the Spider-Verse was the best movie of the year, personally.
I still haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so good.
Is it awesome?
It's awesome. Just the art alone in it is phenomenal, and the Easter eggs of all the different styles that they throw in there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. As an animated film, it's unbelievable.
Nice. I think it's out on Blu-ray this week or something, so I'll be checking that out. Let me see. Back to comics. Anyone else have anything on the hot list that they'd like to talk about?
A hot list?
Is that what we're calling it?
Did you put a hot list together of stuff to talk about?
No.
No. I got something I could talk about. A comic bookie.
Was it on top of the stack this week? Because
it was not on top of the stack. Listen, if you want to come on top of the stack, you're more than welcome. I only did it because you guys said you didn't want to do anything more than monthly. So that you're more than happy to do a
validate
weekly.
it however you need to.
If you want to do your own weekly top of the stack.
Oh, see, here it is. So, Tom, if you want to do your own top of the stack and send it to Sal,
no,
you can do that.
Hey, you guys want to record weekly now? Is that the deal? Is that what?
No.
All right, stop complaining, Chris. Don't get sensitive. Already, 2 episodes in, we haven't even finished our 2nd episode. You're already getting sensitive. All right, what did I read? The Weatherman, Volume 1, Image Comics, written by Jody Leheup, and art by Nathan Fox, with colors by Dave Stewart. What?
Nathan Fox.
Nathan Fox, yes, our old friend Nathan Fox. I think I've always been a fan of Nathan Fox's work since way back when. I still have a page on my wall of his that I bought years and years ago. But I think this might be some of his best work in this series. It's basically it's set in the future. Mars, the year is 2077. Earth was attacked 8 years ago, something like that. Some sort of terrorist attack. 8 billion people or 18 billion people were murdered by a group called the Sword of God. And then apparently a guy named Nathan Bright, who is a weatherman on Mars. He's just like, we meet him, he's this happy-go-lucky guy. He's got a girlfriend. He has this dog he loves. He loves his car. He's kind of a dopey, fun-loving dude, and he does the weather, and he's really good at it, and he's just sort of enjoying life. but apparently he was part of this terror group, but he doesn't know it. It's an interesting story about crime and punishment and consequences, and a couple of questions that are posed in it really are like, if you commit a horrible crime, but you don't know that you committed the crime, are you responsible and should you be held guilty? Are you guilty and should you be held responsible for that crime? That's kind of the main question of this series. And then the second question is, how much money can you make if you offer people their revenge for losing their loved ones by virtually killing someone that's to blame over and over and over again? So this is a really weird series. It's really kind of out there and wacky, and the art is fantastic. It's super electric. And the colors by Dave Stewart are awesome. Like I said, I think it might be Nathan Fox's best work. It's just high-powered energy. I mean, and the series really, the writing really lends to Nathan really being able to kind of unleash. I mean, there's tons of stuff, whether it's violence, explosions, space, fights, laser blasts, just all sorts of, there's some great, like, martial arts stuff in there that he does. He's given the opportunity to do everything in this series. Like, there's just so much craziness. There's races, like car chases, and a little bit of everything in it. But at the same time, there's this really interesting sort of story going on about, and I think it parallels in some ways, like, our country and 9/11. And I think, Tom, you had said years and years ago, we were talking about 9/11 once, and you said that you felt like there are certain people that 9/11 just broke. And I think it was we were kind of talking about Frank Miller at the time.
Yes.
And Dennis Miller.
And Dennis Miller, yeah.
But I think it broke both of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it broke a lot of people, and we're seeing that more and more every day in our country. But I think this kind of speaks to that a little bit. This isn't a heavy book by any stretch. It's not like super political or super, delving into like the psyche of American culture or anything like that. It's much more just like a fun, wacky space adventure. But there is definitely some questions there that are being asked, which is why I think it's such a good book, because it's a little bit of everything. It's a little, it's giving you a fun, exciting, super hyper violent, visually, dynamic space sci-fi story to follow, but at the same time it's kind of posing some questions about society and crime and what that kind of stuff might look like in the future as well. So I don't want to give a whole lot away in talking about this book, but I really enjoy it. And the first volume is out in trade right now. The second volume, I think, is coming in spring. They wrote a letter in the back of the first volume talking about how they want to take their time and really, put together, volumes as opposed to like just issue after issue, and they want to take the time to make a really good book. And I think it showed in this, so I'm hoping the second volume is just as good or better, because this is really, really good. It's really a fun book. That's what I've been reading this month.
Nice.
Have either of you guys seen it or heard of it or anything?
No.
I'm gonna download it.
There you go.
Just like Black Hammer.
Yes. I read the second volume of Black Hammer. It just gets better and better.
Yes.
Enjoying the hell out of it. And there's spin-off series. I gotta read the what's the something Frankenstein, Sherlock Frankenstein. Looks pretty cool. This is probably new to you, or new to me anyway. Big criminal fan, and just started reading it tonight. But Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker put out a little graphic novel from the criminal universe called "My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies," and I started reading it tonight, and it's criminal goodness.
Wait, that's a new series? that came out?
It's a standalone little graphic novella is what they call it. Yeah, so it's a little hardcover graphic novella out of the criminal universe.
It's like literally a little.
It is not a large graphic novel. It is. I
need some dimensions here, Chris. I need
the dimension. Grab my fucking ruler, asshole. No, it's
hey, yeah.
It's 10.5 by.
Whoa, that's what she said.
10.5 by 6 3/4, so it's regular comic book size, but it's not a huge graphic novel. It's a graphic novella. That's what they call it, and it's good. It's called My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies, and if you like the criminal team of Brubaker and Phillips, it's probably going to be right up your alley. I'm like a quarter of the way through this tiny little graphic novella, and it's good. It's criminal.
It's so good. It's criminal.
It's so good. It's criminal. Exactly.
They can put that on the back.
Little different Sean Phillips art. It's he's flexing some different muscles, which is nice to see. So yeah, I'm digging it. So that's what I'm gonna read once I'm off with you folks here in a couple minutes.
Couple minutes.
I'm gonna retire to the West Wing. And,
wow, you bought a palatial estate there in Wisconsin?
Hey man, each dollar goes a long way up here.
I guess so.
Wisconsin. I was back in your old stomping grounds the other day, Tom. I tell you, I was curling up in Green Bay.
How'd you like it?
It was Green Bay. It's the curling club is a block and a half away from Lambeau Field.
Makes sense.
So I had posted on Facebook. I said, "Well, Frodo, we've made it all the way to Mordor," and a picture of Lambeau. And one of my asshole friends, who's a Green Bay Packer fan, says, "Yep, well, that's where all the rings go."
Oh,
you set yourself up for that.
Yes,
that was.
It was a good burn. It was a good burn. But yeah, I got to hang out in Green Bay a little bit. So that's where you grew up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up there. On the streets of Green Bay.
The mean streets of Green Bay.
Mean streets. It's like a Springsteen song, yeah.
It was cold. It was cold while I was there.
It's always cold there.
It's like 2 degrees while I was there. But yeah, we enjoyed it. Nice little curling club.
Nice. I'll have to keep an eye out for it the next time I'm around.
It's right by Lambeau Field.
I won't go inside, but I'll notice it.
No, never. All right, well, are we finished? We're about an hour, yeah?
A little over, yeah.
A little over?
Yeah.
Have we scratched our comic book itch for the month?
I was going to just say I did read that that Hit Girl that you recommended with the Eduardo Rizzo.
Fucking good, wasn't it?
Yeah. Canadian Hit Girl.
Yeah. It's it was kind of it was exactly that. It was Kick-Ass meets 100 Bullets.
Yeah.
I was just in Canada.
Really?
Wow.
Were you doing Canada?
Flew back from Montreal today.
Oh, really? Did you have some poutine?
I had poutine every day I was there.
Nice.
And
should always
it's good for you.
Yes, the poutine is
smoked meat. A big
cheese,
Montreal.
Gravy.
They have great bagels there.
Mm-hmm.
Drank a lot.
What were you doing after work, or was that?
It was for pleasure.
Oh,
it was for a friend's birthday. That was great. The city was covered in ice.
Well, it is fucking Canada, and
very
it is
slippery. Yeah.
I too traveled to a birthday party this weekend. I went to the VFW in Lamont. That's
the Montreal of the Midwest.
Yes, I've heard that it's been called that before.
VFW. Jesus. Well, Chicago is the Paris of the West.
I mean, not as sexy as Montreal, but come on,
We sang karaoke at a very Quebecois area of town. There was a lot of French language karaoke songs, and then us singing English language songs, and a lot of the French language songs sounded really sad. They were really long.
What did you sing?
What did I sing?
What did you sing?
Let me think.
Something from the 80s, I'm guessing.
I did do a duet of that song from A Star Is Born. I did the Bradley Cooper part.
Nice.
Well, yeah, because it's just you can just sound like a
hick.
Drunk, like a Eddie Vedder, like a drunk Eddie Vedder. It sounded like kind of like, yeah.
Did you look longingly in your partner's eyes?
No. She did a great job, but
Sam?
It was not Sam. It was a friend of mine.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, but what else did I sing? I think I sang a New Order song, if I remember correctly. It was
nice.
And so that is from the 80s. So that's true. It's a good guess. I think I did something else. I don't remember. It was a bit of a blur.
Are you guys going to go see Captain Marvel this weekend?
I will see Captain Marvel. I don't know if I'll go this weekend.
You're not going opening weekend?
I don't go to opening weekend for nothing.
Baseball?
No, but I'm gonna. Tom, you gonna come up for Brewers Cardinals for the opening series?
When is that?
Probably early April.
Might be during spring break for me.
Okay.
So I might be gone, but I might be able to come.
Yeah.
I forgot what that.
The cards open up at Miller Park.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think I'm going to game 2 because my wife isn't going to buy me opening day tickets.
Wow, you haven't earned it.
I have not earned it.
So if you're in Montreal,
true statement.
Get the bagels. Bagels are great.
Mm-hmm.
Smoked meat. It's great. It's like
Always.
A brisket. It's wonderful. And the Quebecois karaoke. It's fun.
Nice.
That's my recommendation. Top of the stack.
Top of the travel stack.
Montreal. Yeah, whatever it is in French. Top of the stack.
We'll have to look that up. Someone in France, tell us. Someone from Canada.
French Canadian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We went to a real dive. And some people were rude to us, which was part of the experience.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I mean, we were obnoxious Americans. I think on the scale of brash, loud Americans, I think we probably lived up to the stereotype, perhaps.
Perfect.
Shocking.
Perfect. Good.
Shocking.
Perhaps a touch too much.
Did you enjoy any of their free healthcare while you were there? Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Walk into a
every day. Every day after the poutine, immediately after the poutine, I'd go in for an angioplasty. First thing, I'd be in the waiting room, and there are long lines.
Horribly long lines.
Long lines with people dying around me, eating poutine.
Mm-hmm. The death panels. You had to get through the death panels.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. It's always a pleasure talking to you lads. And
before we go, I didn't know if you cared or not to. I do have some listener email if we want to read, but we don't have to. We can do that some other time.
We want to do one. We'll do one. Do one.
Let's
do one. All right.
Let's do one.
I don't want to read them all.
What's the email if people want to email us?
info@aroundcomics.com.
All right. There you go.
Let's
Send us your questions about poutine and French karaoke.
Yeah. Let's see. What do we got here? This is from Michael B. He says, 7 years. Dang, I'm thrilled you guys are back. So much has changed in comics in 7 years. Stan Lee is gone. Bendis is at DC writing Superman, and it's the best soups. Yeah, I know. You didn't know
that. I knew that, guys.
Yeah, it's the best soup.
Still hasn't finished the fucking story, though.
There's no spoiler alert in this email. Bendis is at DC writing Superman. It's the best soups I've read maybe ever, especially his Action Comics. Jump on that if you haven't already. The Thanos snap is referenced everywhere in the mainstream media, and Bill Maher trashed Stan Lee. Kevin Smith and everyone who claims comics are literature Well, he's still a dick, so that hasn't changed. Anywho, I was shocked to hear about your return. I found out from your arch nemesis, the iFanboy, Josh and Connor. So give them a thank you for the mention. I hope y'all are here to stay a while. Much love, Michael. P.S. I tried to post this on your post-comment section of the website, but I was blocked as suspected bot. LOL. It's doing its job.
It's genius, yeah. That wasn't an accident.
We will never thank Josh and Connor, ever. So just get that out of the way. Comics are not literature. What else? What else?
Stanley is dead.
Stanley is dead. That is correct. Bendis has never finished a fucking story. What else you got here?
I want to tell people I apologize. I have buttons. I have Around Comics buttons I made.
You have buttons.
I did. I made some buttons, printed them up, and there's some people that have asked for them, and I keep meaning to mail them, and I keep forgetting, but I will mail them out. Also, but if you do see me at C2E, I will be at C2E2 this year on Saturday, just walking around with my kids. If you happen to recognize me, just say hi and ask for a button. I'll have a bag of them on me, so I'll be happy to give you a free button.
I don't even have a button.
Well, I'll give you one, too, if I ever saw you. You live up in fucking Wisconsin.
You've been invited.
Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm. He's simply chosen not to go.
I was going to go I was invited once. You've been there for a long time. I was invited one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I couldn't make it.
Your fucking house.
I couldn't make it. That's not true. You've been invited to my house. Yes. That's all the.
Thank you for the email, by the way. That was very nice. Michael. Yes, and I'm giving Josh and Connor shit, obviously. So those.
Well, they deserve it.
They do deserve it. It was also very kind of them to mention our triumphant return. Even though it's obviously going to knock them off their pedestal. So
I wouldn't count on that.
Yeah.
We are, not that we're not better, but people like easy, and they're their easy, mindless ramblings are, it's like they're the Britney Spears of podcasting. They're nice to look at.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like if you want to listen to a podcast where the hosts know the names of the comics and they know how to pronounce people's names, then listen to iFanboy. If you want to listen to a show where the three hosts take like 5 minutes to like figure out exactly what it is they're talking about.
Gerards.
Yeah, if you want to work for it a little bit more.
So what I liked about that email is that he was suggesting some comics for us to read, and if you haven't listened to our last couple episodes, or I guess you are listening to it, is Tom and Sal and I kind of read what we want these days. We're not reading everything on the comic shelves. So send us your suggestions. I think it's a kind of a podcast in reverse. So send us your suggestions,
but
and
here's
maybe
the caveat to that.
We don't have to read anything.
You send me a suggestion, if I read it and I don't like it, I'm never going to listen to you ever again.
Oh, okay.
That's for someone that I'm just, hey, that's just how it is.
You're cut
it's
off.
an automatic.
You get one chance.
You get one chance.
I like it. So
choose wisely.
Yeah, send us your suggestions of anything that you've read in the last year or two that just blew you away, because I would love some suggestions on stuff.
And you can use, on social media, you could use hashtag top of the stack.
There you go.
You could. Top of the stack.
We might ignore it, but you can.
Yeah.
And then Sal will do a podcast about it.
I'll do a separate podcast that I won't invite either of you to be a part of.
Jerk.
Wait a minute. I'm just trying to give extra content to the listeners. You are forcing them to wait a month. You are the Doom Patrol to my Umbrella Academy. You are the DC Unlimited to my Netflix. I'm giving them what they want. Well, not really. They want, all three of us, but I'm giving them a weak imitation.
They can wait. They can wait. All right. Let's wrap this up. We're sorry. I quit one fucking podcast because of this 2-hour long bullshit.
Jeez.
So thank you for listening to another episode of Comics.
Intentional. Yeah.
What?
I stopped paying attention a while ago.
Yeah, I know. It's. I'm here for you, Tom. We are sponsored by nobody, but as we just mentioned, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email us at info@aroundcomics.com, and we would love to hear from you. Mr. Caters, Mr. Salazar, thank you as always, and we'll be back in another month or so to talk about everything.
I'll be back next week.
Oh, you're gonna be back. Okay.
Check in 2 hours from now for my podcast.
Tom versus Doom Patrol.
The notes, the annotation for this, it's basically this episode, but I record myself talking over this episode.
Your thoughts.
The narration.
It's the annotated thoughts you were having while this episode was being recorded.
It's a very different. Yeah.
It's so good to have you guys back. All right. So we'll be back in about a month. In the meantime.
In between time.
We'll be everywhere in
and around comics.
It's a good one.
It was.
Bye.
Yeah.